How are we all doing? But don't answer all at once. It doesn't really work with this platform.
Morning, Mo.
I'm just hearing you guys talk about real life events. I am super excited for the wave of innovation in the Gold Coast that's coming up in March. Aaron's going to be there. We're going to have a few of the team there. So anyone who's in Australia's a pretty big place, but especially up the Goldie. If you're in Brisbane, we'll be putting out a post later today, I think. Yeah, I'd love to see a few people out there. Sit down. It's the Gold Coast, mate. Sit down, have a beer. Oh, awesome.
GM.
Alex, you've made it, buddy.
Oh, yeah, of course. Fashionably late as always, but
Oh, we're happy to have you. But we didn't have you last week. So
no.
Let me just kick things off by saying, welcome everyone to 30 Minutes Max. Now, if you're listening to the recording of this on a different platform, this is being held live in the Discord for Futureverse, and all the questions are coming from the 30 Minutes Max channel. So, Alex, welcome back, buddy. What happened last week?
Thanks, mate. So firstly, great to be back. Apologies for cancelling last week's 30 Minutes Max. I was actually quite sick end of last week. And I mean, if there'd been a lot of questions that had come through, I probably would have pushed through and done it anyway. But considering I think there was only like 2 or 3, decided to just postpone it for this week. So yeah, good to be back. Thank you all for joining. Good to see a lot of people in here, a lot of familiar faces, hopefully some new ones as well. Sorry, my phone just keeps locking. Let me just fix that setting quickly. But also, I guess just while we're getting settled, curious to get an indicator from the community as to how many people are in LA or in that sort of surrounding area. There's a chance that we might be hosting a small event in LA soon. So if you're in that area, please let us know. I've created a thread called LA Community in the International Forum. So if you're in the area, jump in, just let us know, and there'll be some good sort of research for us in terms of how we start doing some IRL events and meetups and that soon.
Yeah, it'd be great to spend some time with the community IRL again. Right.
If I can wrangle a trip to LA out of it as well, then I'm happy.
Well, I've wrangled a trip to the Gold Coast, so hopefully a few people can meet us there. That'd be amazing. But
do you have any idea when that might be?
We'll be looking at probably late Q1, early Q2.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I didn't know if it was like while Aaron was in town this week.
No.
Okay, yeah,
that's literally just this week.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, you reckon we should kick things off?
Let's do it.
All right. A lot of questions, none I've read in advance, so here we go. For the next 30 minutes max, we'd love to hear some status update on Burndown.
Yeah, as always, I can't really give any updates on Burndown or any other products that haven't been made through official announcements. But that said, with races launching soon, I'm sure you'll start to see more focus on Burndown coming out after that.
Next question. Any timeline on mintage accessories on TRN or in the Readyverse?
No definitive timeline at this stage. Obviously, interoperability is a major kind of goal for us, and we're starting with our sort of in-house IP and assets. So obviously kicking things off with PartyBears, and there'll be some more to come down that pipeline soon, and then we'll continue expanding from there. So long term, obviously, yeah, interoperability is the goal, and especially when it comes to wearables and all of that. But I can't give any specific updates at this stage.
Now, the next question I've got is regarding tokenomics. I'm not sure how much we can get into it, but it's regarding team, community, quests, vesting details of distribution, timeframes for it. It'd be nice to have some transparency.
Yeah, so all the relevant kind of pool size in terms of amount of tokens and how they're being distributed can be found in the white paper. But I am working with the team to get some greater clarity provided here around like specific dates and schedules, that sort of stuff, just so there's no ambiguity around that. I know it's been raised a couple times as a question, and just in terms of like confirming the specific start dates for some of these schedules as well. So working on getting that clarity for you guys ASAP.
Now, the next one's an incredibly long question that I'm going to paraphrase. It's regarding apparent root value for specific NFTs and whether Futureverse can provide any more clarity on this, especially to new entrants. We've got a hot mic. We've got a hot mic.
Chachi, do you mind muting yourself? Otherwise, I'll have to mute you and you'll have to ask to be unmuted in the future. Thank you.
Now, did you catch that, or do you want me to reread it?
Yeah. No, that's yeah. So basically, asking about if we can provide any greater clarity around the approximate root value or root returns for any specific Futureverse NFT, especially when it comes to enticing newcomers. We really can't discuss any of the kind of tokenomics outside of what's been stated in the white paper, and honestly, if we were to give any indication of any form of guaranteed return for our collectibles, that would be wandering into securities territory, which is not something that anybody wants. The community, however, are more than welcome to draw their own conclusions and circulate those. But our goal for FutureScore has always been as a means to both reward the early community while making it easy for newcomers to come on board and get a taste of everything that's happening, and in doing so increase the overall demand as well. So yeah, unfortunately we can't kind of guarantee any specifics around, you might get this much root from this owning this specific collectible, because that just puts us in some dodgy territory, but happy to let the community go wild on that front.
For sure. Now, this next question starts with when, and they've even spelled when with an H. So, okay, here we go. When will we be able to build on our land and use the generative AI to create experiences for others? I have some ideas for my field of work and would like to connect with like-minded people. Is there a way you can create and search function to find people to build with? Could Silo be useful here?
Yeah, this is a really interesting thought, and something I'll take back to the team. Actually, just as an aside, I've been using some of the slightly quieter time, shall I say, over the start of the year to just fine-tune some of our internal processes and ways of working. And one of them is ensuring that we have a much more robust system in place for capturing, reviewing, and implementing feedback. So this is, a good one that I can use as a test case for that new system that I'm putting in place. But I think, yeah, so the kind of core question here is, how would I connect with like-minded people when it comes to the eventual kind of experiences that are being built? As the Silo protocol has evolved and will start to include things like your social graph, I think having the ability to connect with like-minded people and form your own communities will be very valuable. So that's something that I'm not sure whether that's something that had kind of been fully mapped out in the overall functionality for Silo, but considering social graph as a key component of that, it makes a lot of sense, and that's something that I'll kind of push into the suggestions database for that team.
Now, this next question stays in the same vein. Are there AI tools currently available that allow you to build a game experience much faster than it used to? Is Futureverse Readyverse using such tools?
I mean, there are certainly tools coming out in that light. I can't confirm specifics on any of the tools that we're currently using, but we are constantly reviewing what new tools are available, and seeing where they can fit into our workflow and improve our productivity. Additionally, we are also building many of these tools ourselves, like the text to 3D sort of stuff.
Straight on the next question. We have heard that they have been working on Readyverse already for quite some time. Does that mean they have been actually building it, or just planning, creating the partnerships?
So I can't really speak on behalf of Readyverse too much at this stage, with the way that it's currently structured as a separate entity. But there has been work going on both the business and experience sides for quite some time, and you will see some more updates in relation to all things Rediverse coming down the pipeline soon enough.
Now, this next question also starts with when, but they've spelled when correctly, which is W-E-N for anyone out there listening. And it says, when merch?
Yeah, I know we'd aimed to try and get it out before Christmas. There were some issues that came back with some of the samples. So those are being updated, and we'll be able to give you a more concrete update in the next month or so, I would imagine.
Heading over to the PartyBears. Will we be able to download bridge split bear files from the underground? Currently, bridged bears don't show in the underground.
Yeah, so in terms of the downloading component, you can actually currently download both PNGs and VRMs, which is a 3D file format, of your bridged PartyBears directly from the PartyBear Swappables dashboard. So that's where you actually go through FuturePass, select your bear, go into that Swappables experience, and there's a number of different options there. Up in the top right, you'll see one which is downloads, and that will download both the PNG and the VRM. Just make sure that your browser settings are open for that, because even from my first-hand experience, I noticed that Chrome tried to block it when it was trying to download multiple files at once. So you might just have to manually allow that through. In terms of the underground itself, so our plan is actually to sunset the underground in the near future as we roll all of the necessary functionality into the FuturePass dashboard and have that all housed in that one place. So you'll see some more updates coming on the FuturePass dashboard side of things soon as we increase the overall functionality and utility within there. Bring a lot of that stuff that's in the underground currently, and shift all that into FuturePass dashboard and eventually sunset the underground in its current format.
Now, as you've just very well answered my next question, more about functionality on underground, we'll jump to the next one, which is Swappables. Swappables are on TRN, the root network. Will scene sound swaps continue to be a thing on ETH? Will that also be functionally for seekers when their swapping is live, or will that just be a TRN thing?
So this is currently being worked on and will provide some more updates in due course. I think the key thing with scenes in particular is you'll start to see a bit of a shift in focus on some of this when it comes to the rollout of like land mechanics and that.
Man, I haven't had Moonrocks for so long. I don't even know what my thingy's been up to. So next question, when can I buy Moonrocks with Asto on the root network? This is why I'm not using it right now.
So this kind of goes back to the point just before about us sunsetting the underground and taking all that functionality into the FuturePass dashboard. There is a fair amount of work to do to migrate the Thingies Art functionality to the root network, and it's not at the higher end of the priorities list, but it's something that we are looking at.
Next question is coming over to the CoolCats. Is the team happy to comment on why CoolCats are launching their game on Immutable X and not TRN? Is the answer, sorry, if the answer is so that they can be multi-chain, does that mean Rediverse will be multi-chain and not exclusive to the root network?
So actually someone already shared, was it Jarvis from their team mentioned that the CoolCats deal with Immutable was actually inked before our partnership. That said, both Aaron and Shara sit on the board of directors for CoolCats and are actively helping guide their strategy. In terms of the kind of multi-chain question, I mean, it's always been our vision to be as interoperable as possible, not just when it comes to assets, accessories, etc., but also when it comes to infrastructure. So, yeah, I think that when it comes to the broader Rediverse and the broader experiences across Futureverse ecosystem, it's not necessarily going to be, entirely restricted to just people who have their assets or collectibles or whatever it may be on the root network. However, there will be, significant advantages to having your assets on the root network, much like if you look at PartyBears, for example. I don't believe we are going to intend to force people to bridge their collectibles to the root network just to take part in specific experiences like within Rediverse. But there will, as I said, be certain advantages in terms of increased utility in these cases.
Absolutely. Now, some savvy sleuths in our community who never miss a transaction has noticed that there was a small amount of root distributed last week. What was this for?
Yep. These were some payouts made to some people who had missed out on the rewards for Quest 3 and Quest 4. So there had been some people who had raised tickets claiming that they should have received rewards for previous quests, and they hadn't. So the support team had worked through that with the Future Score team, gone through, double-checked, validated, and those were some of the outstanding payments that we just made to clear those out.
Great. All right. Previously, Non-Fungible Labs was collaborating with Carbon Click to offset carbon emissions. Is this collaboration still in play after the roll-up into Futureverse? If so, is carbon neutral? Sorry. It's a lot harder to accomplish with Carbon Click due to the AI servers and high energy consumption.
So yeah, good question. We still work closely with Carbon Click. In fact, we share an office with them, and they are a close partner of ours. But at this stage, we don't have the same level of offsetting as place at Futureverse as we did with Non-Fungible Labs. AI certainly does increase our power usage, and being environmentally friendly is something that's very important to us. But I'll follow up internally and just get a full update on where things are on that front.
This next question seems to dig even deeper into this. In recent news, Sam Altman has said future AI models will require so much power, will require an energy breakthrough, which has caused some panic and hate across normie social media. Do you have any guidance on how to respond to environmental concerns when talking to outsiders about Futureverse and what it's trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. It's pretty standard firstly, it's pretty standard for normally social media to spiral things out of control, but it's also pretty standard for breakthroughs to happen at various levels of the supply chain, which facilitate improvements in other areas. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of the current AI modeling helps drastically improve our existing energy systems and solutions. Actually, in fact, no, I remember seeing something the other day, which was showing how AI modeling had been used to simulate alternatives for lithium in batteries and managed to provide a viable alternative using sodium instead. Lithium is obviously a rare earth element, and sodium is salt. So yeah, it's already happening. AI is already working to provide or to simulate tests that would take humans much longer to work through all of the viable alternatives. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it was earlier this week or maybe last week that I saw there was an update which said that they're now exploring a sodium alternative for lithium in batteries. I guess more broadly speaking, in terms of how, I mean, that's a key point that you can, take to outsiders, but I think it's important to remember when people raise flags about the energy impact of things like blockchain, AI, that sort of stuff. Blockchain or Bitcoin is actually one of the highest users of renewable energy in the world. And it's important to remember that it is entirely feasible for the whole world to run off sustainable energy. It's just that many of the powers that be don't want this. They have vested interests in other forms of energy which are not as sustainable. But we're already seeing this change over time, and I think the court of public opinion will help shift that inevitable drive towards global sustainable renewable energy, and advancements through AI simulations of new materials that can be utilized to improve these efficiencies are already something that we're seeing.
If you haven't seen what a lithium mine looks like, Google it. It's not great. All right. What is the current status? Oh, this question is full of numbers and quests. So here we go. What is the current status of quests 5 and 6? And for those of us not able to customize our bear before end of quest, and what's the latest on quest 7?
So we're in the final stages of our audit for all the future score calculations and rewards for 5 and 6. It's something that we're having to go through and just really ensure that everything is working exactly as intended. And the future score calculation is a really closely guarded secret internally. There's literally, I think, 2, maybe 3 people that have kind of full access to how it works, and it's done that intentionally. So the current review process can take quite a while, but actually, before I jump onto the next point, so just in terms of those that were unable to complete the quest, they tried but failed due to technical issues. As long as if you've raised a ticket as we suggested, and if we've been able to prove through on-chain data that you did actually attempt to complete the quest but were unable to, you have been added to a list that has gone through manual review and will be manually added to that final completed list, and you will receive rewards. You should get an update directly from the support team in your ticket relating to this. But back to my other point. So in parallel with the current audits that are going on, we've been working to platformize the entire quest system, so it's far more streamlined and automated. But it's really important that we complete these manual reviews first to ensure that all of the calculations, all of the functionality is working exactly as intended before we implement an automated approach, because otherwise that's just going to lead to more things for us to tidy up in manual reviews in the future. So once we get through this next stage of this final audit for the quest 5 and 6, that should put us in a place where essentially we're able to platformize the entire quest solution moving forward, and that will allow us to spin up quests more easily without much dev involvement at all, and thus increase our cadence of quests. In relation to quest 7, that's actually potentially going to be the first use case of this new system, and we are intending to get that out in the very near future, as close as I can say without giving a specific date.
I feel like you've covered everything from that the next question in the first one, so we're good to jump to the next one.
Yeah, so what that was just when our quest frequency and reward rate's going to increase, blah blah blah. Yeah, I kind of covered that up. Yep.
We love the quests. We love them, but they are a bit of a heavy lift for the devs at the moment, and the sooner we can refine that, the better. Okay. Here's a question. It's about the year of the rabbit.
Yeah, this is something that's being actively reviewed as we speak, and we'll give an update shortly.
I know a lot of people are looking at the calendars. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Is there going to be an integration of TRN with Coinly or other similar on the radar?
Yeah, so this is something that's been raised and something that has taken through to the partnerships team. Firstly, there is a new block explorer that will be launching soon, this quarter, definitely. And part of that new block explorer will include the ability for CSV exports. So that will help a lot with being able to review and process and kind of audit transactions. And that's a key component also for integrating with third-party tools. So our partnership teams are in conversations with some of the leading crypto tax software providers, and to see what it will take for them to integrate the root network. So we'll keep you posted on how that develops. But yeah, I would very much like to see that happen before the end of the financial year, and we'll be putting a bit of my own, what's the word I'm looking for? I'll be chasing up on that personally.
Yeah, I know we're all pretty savvy when it comes to doing everything by the book, so we would all like to see that happen. All right. It seems much of Silo's updates have been ready to go for some time, e.g. Seekers dashboards, staking. Why is it being held back?
I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. What I would say is that when everything came together under Futureverse and with the rollout of the root network, Many of the existing plans that were in place from the constituent companies had to be adapted or tweaked slightly to ensure that they all work together as part of the broader Futureverse platform. And Silo is definitely part of this as well. So, a lot of the original plans for Silo were more just focused on the comm side. What's happened now with the expansion, with the broadening of functionality for Silo, and the increase to cover things like more data about you and swappables, asset register stuff. It's important that the work that had been done on some of these components was updated to ensure that all aligned as part of that Futureverse platform.
Now, I've only got 2 more questions left. So if anyone in the audience wants to jump in very shortly, or Som, if you're with us in the room, which I know you are, if you've got anything that also needs to be raised, stand by. All right. Any updates on multiplayer burrows?
So the entire Burrow's functionality and experience is being evolved as part of the Readyverse strategy, but I can't give any other updates on that front just yet.
Nothing like finishing the questions with a when. When will we be able to see our future score without having to log in?
I don't think we ever intend to let people see future score without having to log in, but I do see a point that part of this question about having to access it from the main wallet, their main wallet being like a hardware wallet or similar. If you want to minimize your actual need to access that wallet, what you can do is you can view your future score from a linked wallet. So say, for example, if your main future pass is owned by or run through your hardware wallet or a cold wallet or what it may be, you can just link a hot wallet to it, and then you can log in using that hot wallet and you'll be able to see your future score there. I don't believe that's currently the case for people that have combined future score across multiple future passes. So I will check on the team with that and see if that's something that we can put in there as well.
Awesome. Awesome with an O. Somnium, do we have any questions coming in that I haven't been able to see from other platforms?
Hello. I'm just on the 30 minutes max questions channel, and there are a couple in there.
Thanks, Monty. Would you like to read those out?
Sure thing. We've got one from Chachi here. That says, can AI tools be used to substantially speed up the time it takes?
That was already answered.
Okay, sorry, he posted that up.
Yep.
Easy. There's one from PCO saying, are all posters still a thing?
I mean, posters are still a thing. In terms of specific functionality for having all posters, when it comes to us doing IRL events, then we can look at what we do with those.
Perfect. Yes. There's a question here. How many quests in the next 17 months? More regular quests?
I can't give any info on that. I'm not going to discuss. I've given as much info as I'm going to give currently on quests.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, there are a couple of questions here that are slightly, haven't been reviewed.
Let's leave them. Let's leave them for next week. We can review them and we can give them the answers they deserve and the space to breathe. So I think that's pretty good from the questions, except for anybody in the room, because we want to encourage you to come up live if you'd like to. Jump on in.
Will we see a movie this year with Futureverse assets?
I can't confirm or deny that.
And a proposal for posters would be a nice quest.
What would the quest be?
Collect all posters. If you have all of them, bigger root reward. I can understand that you go back on the promise of having bigger than VIP whatsoever, but that would be maybe a nice replacement.
So I guess, firstly, quests are designed more as a way to reward people that are testing our products and experiences. So, holding like a number of assets isn't something that qualifies for a quest. That doesn't mean that there won't be other rewards associated with that. But yeah, I mean, I know that Brooke had mentioned something about poster holders in the future. There was never anything that was put out officially by the company as to what the utility of those would be, but that is something that we will keep in mind when it comes to future IRL events.
Well, let's not discuss it in here. Another question I have, I think it's fair to say Mark isn't as big yet and doesn't have much volume. Any talks and plans with OpenSea? Magic Eden is talking with, I think, Ape and Board, other Blur, one of the big marketplaces to introduce root network on them?
Yeah, I covered this in the last 30 minutes, Max. We're in regular conversations with the likes of OpenSea, but we can't give any specifics on timeline or whether, in fact, there will be definitive integration at this stage. But we are in regular contact with the likes of OpenSea, and obviously we want to provide as much interoperability and utility as possible. So, as always, we understand that Mark there's still some areas that need to be improved in terms of their functionality, but we want to allow as much utility for people as possible, and ideally we get multiple marketplaces that support the root network, and then that just basically leads to the kind of free market competitive nature that ensures that the one with the best experience is the one that will take home the lion's share of the volume and thus revenue.
Anyone else? I
do think it was
more.
And two questions, if I may.
No, you have one big Nvidia, I think, got delivered to you. Zuckerberg just said he got 300 to 600,000 of them. Any plans to collect more money and more funding?
We don't have any plans to fundraise at this stage. No, we're comfortable in where we are with our capital and our roadmap, our runway. I don't think at this stage we quite need to be, and we need 300 to 600 of the Nvidia. What are they? DG whatever, they forget the specific name of it. But who knows in time. We'll see.
The floor is open. Anyone else?
Anything
I
planned
have a
for
question.
Easter? Oh, sorry, go on.
On your way to LA, why don't you drop into London around the 24th of February? Because I'm going to host a little party then.
I mean, it's not exactly on the way from New Zealand, but there is a chance that I am actually going to be in Europe mid-year for summer, more on a bit of just a holiday, but can also certainly tie in some work meetups to that trip as well. Having lived in London for 8 years, I'm definitely keen to go back and reconnect with some people there. So if that's confirmed, I'll certainly let you guys know in terms of what rough dates I might be in the area, and we can look at having a meetup.
Awesome.
Do we have any updates around the PartyBear future score?
I've already touched on that. I've already touched on that earlier. It was one of the first questions, or well, maybe not the first, but one that I discussed in depth already. So you might just need to go back and listen to the recording.
Okay, I will do that. Also, I know you sort of touched on this, but can you speak to the broad goals of the, I guess, team around the community pool? Is that there's thought to be looking to get expansion to go to more participants, or yeah?
So the community rewards pool is almost entirely dedicated to future score quests. There is a small amount of it that's just being also used for some of the smaller kind of like giveaway stuff, but it's less than 1%. So the vast majority of that is all through the Future Score quest system. In terms of Future Score quests, essentially the goal is to ensure that we can not only reward, early collectors and long-term holders, but also utilize it as a mechanic to help bring in newcomers. There's a lot of updates that we'll be putting in to improve that experience for newcomers as well. And also introducing things like the ability to gain Future Score from completing certain activities. As I've touched on in the past, while collectible ownership-based Future Score increases over time through the time held bonus, any Future Score that's gained through completing specific activities will actually decay over time. So that Future Score increase is only kind of relevant if you're continuing to engage. But it's good because it provides a lot of different alternatives for people to engage at different levels and increase their Future Score. But the current structure, as you'll see, with the bigger holders, the earlier holders, those that have been here with us for a long time, and the longer term supporters have the lion's share of Future Score. And even as we continue to expand and bring in other parties and open on-ramps for newcomers, it's structured in a way that, lets them come on the journey and gives them a good taste of everything that's being created. But in doing so, increases the overall demand for everything we're doing and allows some of those people that have been really kind of backing us from the start and own a lot of our collectibles to, have opportunities to offload some of their tokens if they wish, or other collectibles.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. All right,
Well,
maybe one
definitely-
more question. We can do one more.
let's do one more.
Just had a quick question about the Neopin partnership. Is there a view to release something from the Futureverse side announcing that rather than just a click on a retweet, something more public facing?
I believe there is something that will be coming out from our side. I need to double check with the partnerships team whether there's going to be anything more coming out immediately, or whether we're waiting until there's a bit more depth and more that can be revealed about the partnership to provide some more comprehensive comms on that front. But that's one of many that we've been working with and has been facilitated by the team at Catalyze in Korea.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool to see this stuff sort of starting to, flow.
Yeah. I mean, I think 2024 is the year that we're going to start to really start firing those on the business development and partnership front, and bringing in a lot of new players, incentivizing people to build on the Root network, and really trying to get that network effect live, so that the more people are here, the more people are attracted, and it just grows exponentially.
Oh, piggyback question then, just for incentivizing network and encouraging others to build. Are we going to be able to see who's in the OV incubator for Root Network?
Yeah, I think there's a showcase coming out in the next month or so, which is just basically highlighting those that have been selected and giving some insight into what they're doing and why they were selected. I can't recall the specific time frame on that, but I do think it's in the next month or so. And then there'll be more information to come down the line about future base camp or born ready opportunities.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Cool. All right,
And,
I'm gonna wrap it up there at 41 minutes max.
Perfect.
Yeah.
In that case, I'll see us out with thanks everyone for coming. Remember, get those questions in for next week. And we appreciate you all. So till next time, 30 minutes max, and we're all out.